Hi folks, this is Kelly Young of Dirigo Software, here to talk about the Accident Reconstruction Professional Suite. Today we're going to talk about AR Pro, specifically the main window. Let's get right into it. Okay, this is the new, updated, upgraded main window of AR Pro for the Accident Reconstruction Professional Suite. A lot of changes in the basic workings of AR Pro. I don't know if you saw the other video on the AR Pro suite that I did, just a general introduction or whatnot. But I made a huge change in the basic window of AR Pro, specifically the type of window. In the days of old, which is the entire existence of AR Pro, everything, all of the child windows, and all that means is any window that AR, the main window, creates, be it a formula, the calculator, options, everything was confined to the main window. You couldn't take it outside of the window at all. But now you actually can. All of the child windows are no longer locked into the main window, and that's all of them. The reason I did that, the biggest reason, is that what it used to be called a multiple document interface, an MDI. And for any of you guys who've been around computers for a long time, if you remember back to Microsoft Word, whenever you would open up a document or a couple documents or many documents, all of the documents would reside inside the Word main window. That's an MDI application. Well, if you open up Microsoft Word today, you get, for each document, you get an entirely separate Microsoft Word window. That's called a single document interface. And that's what I've done with AR Pro. And it took me a very long time. It broke a lot of things like the communication between the windows, like formulas, being able to save their information to here, the project manager. And I had to fix all of that because they just talk in a completely different way than a multi-document interface. So I did that. And if this was a small program, that wouldn't have been a big deal, but because I have like over 180 formulas now, plus, this window, the options window, both specifications windows, the calculator, the calendar, etc., etc., etc. It took a very long time. But anyway, so now none of the child windows in AR Pro are confined to the main window anymore. And this is really great for those of you who are lucky enough or fortunate enough to have multiple monitors hooked up to your computer. You can now drag any window you want, all the windows, whatever, to whatever monitor you want to work on. And it will work perfectly fine. Especially if it's the same display. For instance, a 4K or 1440p or 1080p, etc., etc. But anyway, so that's the biggest change for AR Pro. And I'm actually quite excited about it. It gives me a lot more leeway on how the formulas and all of the windows work and look. For instance, I'm running Windows 11 here, and I have been since it started coming out. Not on this computer, but I have a test laptop that I started on, and eventually I got around to trusting it enough to go ahead and put it on my main computer here. But you'll notice, Windows 11 is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and they got the rounded edges here. That's part of their thing. See up here, and it's just the way it moves is just it's beautiful. Just it's an awesome OS, and I really like it. But we want to talk about the main window here. So I put the toolbar back on the top, versus AR Pro 15, which is was here on the side, kind of like the phones are these days. And it didn't really get as good a welcome as I was hoping for. So for this, I decided to put the thing back up here. Um, Now, other than that, one of the big changes I've made, because we are no longer confined to the main window, you can run this program in a window this size. You can run it maximized, and I know a lot of my customers love to run their programs maximized. Or you can get the main window right out of the way. You can even put it on a different desktop or a different monitor on your computer if you want. Sorry, I'm not a pro at this, folks, in case you couldn't tell. But this is how I run AR Pro. I like it in the desktop. Excuse me, the toolbar mode. So, but for this purposes of this video, we'll run it in regular large window mode. And we have the usual suspect buttons. You got your formula windows, which of course you also have in your right click menu. And a lot of these are duplicated in the right click menu, just because all of the child windows, all the formula, all the windows have access to this right click menu. So if you're working on, let's say you've got some formulas way over on your left monitor, and you don't want to have to come from your left monitor all the way back here to take a look at the options about. Well, you don't have to. You can just right click on the menu and click options about, and it'll open right up on that monitor. It's just a huge convenience. Also new, or on this toolbar, is the Windows array of choices. Funny thing is, in Windows 11, Cascade and the tiles do not work. They are not part of Windows 11. But I just told you I'm running Windows 11. Well, that's because I'm part of the dev channel for the Windows Insider. And technically, my version of Windows, the program sees still as Windows 10, because it's reported as Windows 10 by the operating system. And I don't know when that's going to change, but whenever. So those folks who have upgraded or will actually upgrade to Windows 11, these three choices will not show up in this menu for you. And I'm going to keep an eye on this, and if and when Microsoft decides to put this functionality back into Windows 11, I can't even imagine why they took it out, but it's not there. When they do, then I will take that part of the coding out of the main window here and allow those three selections to show up. For those of you running Windows 8 or Windows 10, those will always show up, and they do work. They work very well. Next over here is the projects menu. You can start a new project, just open the project. If the project manager is open, you can close it from here as well. Here we have the ability to start Recall and TSB from within AR Pro. And because all three programs are part of the Accident Reconstruction Professional Suite, you get a license for all three programs when you subscribe. That doesn't mean you have to install them if you don't want to, but you do get a license for all three programs. And these programs also are able to start AR Pro and TSB from Recall, and from TSB you can start AO Pro and Recall. So they're all interconnected. They will all start each other. It's just a matter of convenience. That's up to you guys if you want to use that or not. And here are the tools, right? The wrench, where you can get to your vehicle specs, your word processor, CAD, all of these great things, and most of those are duplicated again in the normal right-click menu. Help menu, help file, which I've done locally for this instead of having it on the my web page, my website, because a lot of folks like to print stuff off of the help file, and that didn't work at all from the web page. So I decided to go back to just having a regular help file built, it gets installed right along with AR Pro. Same thing for recall, same thing for TSB. We all have um, local help files. And this I've already demonstrated. This just toggles between the large mode and the toolbar mode. This will open up your options and about window, where you can set, like you watch up here. I click on this and it immediately changes all of the, well, it doesn't for these two right here, but it changes the buttons and whatnot. Just I like the red because I've chosen that for the main icons, which you can change, right? Go to properties, change icon, and there is your choices. Select what you like, don't select what you don't like. You can mix and match, change it up every so often, entirely up to you. Works great. Let's see. From there, From there, we have the internet menu, where you can check for program updates, and these do change color along with that one. Go to my YouTube channel, which you're watching this video from that right now. Facebook, well, you can go to the schools, the crash database, the VIN decoder, forensics experts, vehicle specs. You can buy individual or you can buy their program. That's awesome. The sisters and clones. PDF file, which I do still include with the program, even though it stops at model year 2012. But you can go to their website, and I think it's a 50-year subscription for all you want for being able to look up sisters and clones. Scalia Engineering, they're doing a good job of keeping that database up to date. If you need to, want to look at some blueprints, you can, if you can get vector diagrams on a car you're working on for reconstruction, etc., etc. Light point data, they have the same type of thing. Truck index, they can give you all kinds of specs on heavy trucks. And for those of you that like to take where the sun is in the sky in relation to a particular reconstruction you're working, I've got 3 of the better ones up here. And if anybody knows of a really good one that I don't have, send me a note. I'll add it to the program. This goes to our licensing page, so you know all the rules and all of the ins and outs of what you're supposed to do when you want to transfer the program to another computer. Nobody ever looks at this stuff. I get emails all the time. It's in the help file. It's in the README file. It's on the licensing page, but nobody takes the time to look at that. But it's still there. It's still there. An open Windows list. If you've got, especially if you have a multi-screen setup for your computer and you've got windows spread out all over the place and some of them are buried or whatever, this will show you an entire list of every window, and that includes formulas, the project manager, everything. And you can get to them from here, or you can, they'll bring them to the forefront if they're buried, etc. Next is one of my best features that I've ever done to AR Pro, and that's a formula search feature, where if you want to calculate for time and you have a drag factor and you have a speed, these are the formulas that contain all of these. Now, because I want to solve for time, these are going to be the ones that I'm interested in. And all you need to do is double click those and up it comes. And we'll go over the formula windows in another. These are pretty much the same. I've been able to do a lot of getting the code a lot more efficient in a lot of spots, because you got to remember a lot of these formulas have been around. This AR Pro has been in existence and being worked on for 28 years. It's been out for purchase 27 and a half. I started it in September of 93. It was the first version was released in April of 94. But a lot of these formulas have been around since the very beginning, and I try to go through when I'm doing major updates and whatnot, or whatever I want a new functionality, etc. I'll try to go through and clean up code that I wrote when I was uh, barely knew what I was doing versus having 28 years of experience now. So I did that to every form, all 180 whatever formulas in the program. I went through every one of them several times actually, and testing and wanting to speed them up, make them work faster, better. But anyway, oh, also, because of, while I have this up, this reminds me, you'll notice something's missing here. There's no minimize. There's never been a maximize button on the formulas, and no X. I discovered, well, I'm going to tell you why right now. I discovered when I was transforming this program into a single document interface, or this new type of Windows, that whenever I X'd out of one of these and then closed down the program, Windows was not given back the memory that this window takes up. It just wouldn't give it back. It caused what's called a memory leak. And when I'm working on my program, I keep track of memory leaks because I don't want that situation to happen. Because if you're working in this program a long time and you've got a lot of formulas going, you're opening and closing and opening and closing, every time you do that, when in this particular situation, when you X out of the formula windows or any of the child windows, Windows is not given that memory back, which is completely unacceptable. So I had to turn off, this is called the system menu up here. I had to turn that off in all of the windows. And my chief beta tester kind of complained. That was one of the first things he brought up when he started testing the program is I can't close down these windows. Well, he could. He didn't really pay attention that this button right here said close. So we figured out between the two of us that instead of having the word close on here, I'm going to have a red X just as if there was a red X up here. So your eyes go to it. This is how you close any of the all the windows have a close button on them, right? They just all do, right? And another way you can do that is through this window up here. I keep right clicking that, close all, right? Which will do that. It will get all of your child windows. You could have 50 of them up there. It'll in a blink of an eye they're gone. So that's that. But more on the formula search because we're really talking about whatever you type in first is what you want to solve for, like speed, but it's going to show you everything that contains speed. And then you got time. But speed, that's going to, whatever it is you want to solve for, that's where you want your eyes to go for. The other way to use it is just say, okay, I've got a speed, I've got a time, and I've got a drag factor. What does this program have that can solve with those three known variables? This is what the program has. So that's just a really cool way of quickly search instead of going through. Of course, these are arranged in, all right, what you want to solve for. You need a center of mass. You need a crush. You need a fall. You need a motorcycle. You got a pedestrian issue, radius, whatever. Spin analysis. This one's new. Not for. I created this in AR Pro 15, but and also copied it over to the new version when I did that. But large truck stuff, fault, velocity, all of that. And that will get you there. Over here is the visual styles. Now you're going to notice there's a whole lot less of them than there have been in previous version. I made the decision because I'm trying to get more modernized. I'm keeping up with the changes in Windows as well as the changes that the hardware that Windows runs on. So everything's getting more high DPI, high definition, etc., etc. So these are the ones that are available to me right now that are high DPI enhanced, it's called. And there are a couple of them here that are specifically for Windows 11. And right now all we have is this one, a light and a dark. Personally, I run the dark, but for the purposes of the video, I'm just going to go ahead and keep it in light. As more of these become available, and there will be, I will automatically put them in the program, and one day you'll get an update, and that will be included in the update. Sitting here that you can't see is a little spinning thing. If the program's taking a long time to do anything, which it really doesn't ever do that, you'll see a little, and it's sensitive to the background colors that are going on here. For instance, light, it's going to show up as a little black circle. If you're doing dark, it's going to show up as a white circle. And the same thing for all of these. It knows what color to display based upon what's going on with the background. And this is simply the OFF switch, and that will shut down your program. Now, pay attention to down here. This is the same as it's always been. This is the tool tips, as well as the tool tips that are right by the arrow, if you have that option turned on, which you can turn that off right here. See, now there's no more tool tips. But if you like that, which I do, you can do that. And of course, whether your num lock is on or not, because I like being able to see that, because plenty of times I go to hit the number 7 and I wind up doing a page home or whatever it is, and date and time. And of course, when you're in toolbar mode, you can't adjust the size of this window at all, and the maximize button has been disabled. When you go back to regular mode, you can maximize again. Oh yeah, that's another thing that Windows 11 does. You can set this window wherever you'd like for it to go. That's something that any Windows 11 actually grabs pretty much every program. I've only come across a couple that it doesn't work on, but it does work on AR Pro. And you can see you can adjust the size to whatever you want. Now you can see where that's kind of disappearing. That's that little circle thing I was talking about. I don't know if I should have a minimum width on this, because you can get ridiculous with it, but whatever you want. And that's the thing with this. It's completely up to you guys how you want this program to look, how you want it displayed. If you want it in toolbar mode, perfect. You want light, dark, you want any of the other things. If you want it maximized, light, dark, any of these other things, whatever you want. When you close the program, that's how it's going to start. Whatever mode you're in, whatever size it is, wherever it's placed, including on a different monitor, that's where the program will start up. And that's pretty much it, folks. Hopefully I've kept this nice and short and nobody's falling asleep on me. But thank you very much. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And I hope you enjoy the program. Thank you.